Is drama important?
I personally think drama is very important. I think it's, a way that people express themselves.
Maybe that can tell you things about yourself that you didn't know before.
When you watch them as an audience, be it on TV or on stage, you see pieces of yourself in these performances.
It can transcend beyond borders and it can send messages.
Drama is like more of a want than a need.
You see, I would disagree with you.
Yeah? What do you think?
I feel like to now know today's society and sort of learn from the past, we need drama. I guess I watch it for the sake of seeing other people's views.
I watch drama programs because those are interesting, or the twists and the plot twists. But real life drama, I stay out of that. That's a no-no.
Real life drama, I don't get into drama, but I like observing it.
Oscar winner Rachel Weisz knows a thing or two about drama.
And can you tell us just a little bit about what acting feels like, what it means with you?
Walking into a theatre to start the rehearsal process or to open a play on the first night of the play, that level of excitement that you have and nerves and adrenaline, it's adrenaline like you get on a roller coaster that does 3 loops. Maybe people aren't scared of that, but I am. You get to escape from your own life and you get to be inside the shoes of somebody else. And that's a very thrilling feeling.
Why should people come and watch it?
I think it's you get to explore and to go to a place that you've just never been to in your real life. And it's like having a kind of a workout for your imagination and your feelings. It's like an extreme sport gym for your imagination.
And do you think stories change you?
I think they can change you. Stories can inspire you to do things that you wouldn't have otherwise done. Stories can make you understand things about life and about friends and about experiences that you might not have understood.
What do you think the world would look like if we had no drama?
Well, I think even if people didn't put on plays or make films or sit around and make up stories to each other, there's just drama anyway. Just in a playground, there's drama. Life is full of drama.
Drama has a long history and people have been enjoying it all over the world for thousands of years. In ancient Greece, one city in particular was home to some very big drama fans. That city was Athens. And starting about 2,500 years ago, the people living there began to do something which might sound familiar. They went to the theatre.
But nobody in ancient Athens ever went to the theatre in the way that we do. For example, you can't just rock up at the box office and buy a ticket. If you wanted to see a play, you had to go to where the whole city gathered together in an absolutely massive festival.
The festivals were to honor this guy, the god Dionysus.
Dionysus is the god of theatre. He's also the god of wine and partying. And what we have here are 2 wonderful cups from those sorts of parties. You pick them up like this and you drink either a little or a lot. When you drink, wine makes you different from what you usually are. And Dionysus, when you go to the theatre, when you act, he makes you different from what you usually are. Dionysus is the god who makes you other.
The massive festivals for Dionysus started with singing and dancing, processions, including one of lots of model willies called phalloi, and the sacrifice of a bull. And there was obviously plenty of wine too.
When the drama got going, it happened in the open air at a series of all-day events in a place that looked something like this. How many people there were in the audience depends a bit on what you think the average bun size was. But at Athens, it was probably about 15,000 people, which is half the total number of citizens, all watching together. And you couldn't pay for the best seats. People sat where they were told. The lads on military training, perhaps here. The orphans, perhaps up here. The city councillors and the generals, here, on the front row. But there's a catch. I just mentioned citizens. Well, full citizens didn't include women or slaves. So bad luck me. I certainly wouldn't have been watching from a ringside seat like this. I wouldn't have been watching at all.
It wasn't just the audience sitting in these seats who were men. The actors on stage and the people who wrote the plays were all men too. So what were the plays like?
The ancient Greeks had 3 types of play. You've probably heard of 2 of them, tragedy and comedy. Both involved lots of singing and dancing, kind of mixture of a play, a musical and an opera. But in other ways, they were very different. Let's see how quickly I can explain. Okay, comedy. It's about ordinary people in the here and now with a bit of fantasy thrown in, like giant flying beetles. It disses politicians who are in the audience, and even the gods don't get let off. It has rude jokes, sometimes very rude, silly costumes, and slapstick. One of my favourite plots is about a group of women who go on a sex strike to force their husbands to end a war. So, what's comedy for? Well, partly to bring the powerful down to size, partly to give the ordinary citizens a different way of looking at themselves. Tragedies are something else. They're mostly set in the distant past, featuring kings and queens and gods. There's King Oedipus, who kills his dad, marries his mum, and then gouges out his own eyes. They're full of death, revenge, and punishment, though the bloodiest bits don't actually happen on stage. They're about full-on moral issues: love, sex, murder. Some ancient Greeks thought that the effect of watching them was catharsis, purification. It gave your emotions a good clean-out. Thank you very much.
Rachel Weisz knows just how powerful a Greek tragedy can be.
If you're watching a Greek tragedy, you're seeing very extreme emotions, and you're able to explore those emotions in a safe space. It's a space where you can feel very strongly grief and panic and terror. And it's a story that's written thousands of years ago. I think you will be incredibly surprised at how relevant it is to you today. I think it helps you understand life, ancient tragedy, Greek tragedy.
So that's comedy and tragedy. But what about the third type of play? They were called satyr plays. What's a satyr? An extremely rude part man, part animal. People dressed as satyrs always featured in these plays, which were written by the same people who wrote the tragedies. They were supposed to give the audience some light relief. These 3 different types of play were performed over 4 days during the festival in an intense competition. You could see 17 plays in total, 9 tragedies, 3 satyr plays, and 5 comedies. And then judges picked the best ones and the best actors. The prizes weren't cash. The glory of winning was enough. Although, one playwright did once win a goat. So that's all pretty different from a trip to the theatre today. And 2 more things about seeing a play in ancient Athens might feel a little strange. The first is that plays didn't just have actors on stage. They also had a whole group of people like this taking part in the action.
We are the chorus. We sing, dance, and speak together as one.
And even when our leader talks to the main characters,
or we split up into individual voices,
like we're doing now,
really, we're always together.
Sometimes we play old men.
Sometimes we play young women.
And sometimes we play frogs.
But always we play a community affected by what's happening.
From the beginning of the play until the end,
we follow the story.
Sometimes we offer the main characters advice.
Sometimes we take sides.
And sometimes we say wise things about life and love and death.
But always,
we're watching
and learning.
and trying to make sense of what's happening.
Because we're just like you. Because we are you.
The chorus performed in their own special area of the theatre called the orchestra. For us, that means a group of musicians. In ancient Greek, it means dancing place. And just like the actors on stage, they were all men. Which leads us to the last strange thing about Athenian drama. all of these men were wearing masks. Each different character would have a different mask, so actors could play lots of different roles. Masks for tragedy looked more realistic, but for comedy and satire plays, they would be exaggerated and grotesque. Wearing a mask was another way that the theatre could transform you and make you different to what you really were.
Greek drama can seem very weird to us. But even after 2,000 years, it's still helping us see the world in new and different ways. I think that's probably what all drama does. How important is that?